My name is Addison. 6 months ago, my son Owen called me from his cramped, shared apartment. The excitement in his voice was palpable as he told me about a new business idea he had. It was a far cry from the flimsy startup he'd been running before. This one had actual revenue plans and sustainable growth projections. "I want to show you my business plan," he said. "Not for money, just for advice from someone who actually built something from nothing." I agreed eagerly, and as we talked, he apologized. "Mom, I'm sorry. For the post, for the last few years, for not seeing what was right in front of me." His words took me back to the day everything changed. I was sitting in my home office, surrounded by the evidence of 2 decades of strategic investing. I had transformed a meager inheritance into a multi-million-dollar portfolio while raising my 2 children, Ryan and Owen. I remember the Facebook notification that popped up while I was going over quarterly reports. Owen had tagged me in a post. I expected the usual startup updates, but instead, I saw a photo of him and Stella, my ex-husband Max's wife. They were at a tech expo, beaming, holding champagne flutes, and wearing matching company hoodies. The caption read, "Big shout out to my stepmom at Stella Brown for teaching me real work ethic. While some people make excuses and play the victim, she showed me how to hustle. Success is earned, not given. #no excuses, #startup life, #real mentorship." I read it 3 times. The dig was clear. For the past year, Owen had been singing Stella's praises. Stella was a real estate agent who'd married Max just 18 months ago. According to Owen, she'd revolutionized his thinking, teaching him about hustle culture and all those trendy words that seemed to mean more to him than the years I'd dedicated to his upbringing. I liked the post out of politeness and then went back to my reports. The irony was not lost on me. All these years, I'd been building my investment empire in silence, making strategic angel investments in 32 companies. Most of them had returned 10 to 20 times my initial investment. Among them was a $500,000 investment in Owen's startup, Quantum Tech Solutions. He had no idea that I, his so-called lazy mother, was behind that investment. I'd used a holding company, so I was just another name on the long list of investors his business partner had secured. Owen thought it was his pitch and Stella's connections that got him the funding. I noticed the concerningly high burn rate of Quantum Tech Solutions in the spreadsheet. A startup that was only 18 months old shouldn't be spending so much. But I didn't let it show. I went about my evening routine, cooking a nice meal of steak and vegetables and pouring myself a glass of fine wine. Meanwhile, the comments on Owen's post were pouring in. His startup friends were applauding the hustle. Stella responded with prayer hands and fire emojis, and Max added something about the importance of surrounding yourself with winners. My phone buzzed with a text from Ryan. "Did you see what Owen posted? I'm going to give him a piece of my mind." "Let it go," I replied. "He's entitled to his opinion." Ryan sent back a bunch of angry emojis but didn't comment. She was smart enough not to start a family feud on social media. I couldn't help but think about Owen at 17, after Max left us for Stella. He was heartbroken, sobbing in my arms, blaming himself for his father's departure. I'd worked endless 16-hour days to keep our home, pay for his coding courses, and buy him the equipment he needed for his dreams. And here he was, now thinking that all I did was make excuses. The next morning, I had a call with Lisa Kim, the managing partner at Summit Ventures and a lead investor in Quantum Tech Solutions. Lisa and I had known each other for over 15 years. I'd been one of the first investors in her fund when she started. "Addison," her voice was warm over the phone. "I'm looking at the quarterly reports for Quantum Tech. We need to talk." "I've seen the burn rate," I said carefully. "It's worse," she said. "They're pivoting again, for the 3rd time in 6 months. And the CEO seems more interested in being a flashy startup founder than building a real business." That was my Owen, full of ambition but lacking focus. "I'm thinking it's time to pull our support." other investors will follow suit. But I wanted to check with you first, given your stake, Lisa said. I looked at a photo on my desk, Owen at his high school graduation, smiling widely with his arm around me. Do what you think is best for the fund, I said softly. Are you sure? This is your son's company, she asked. This is business, Lisa. Treat it like any other investment, I replied firmly. After the call, I sat there, reflecting on my years of hard work. I'd managed to create wealth while being a single mother, never missing my children's important events, and hiding the long hours and sleepless nights. And yet, Owen thought Stella had taught him work ethic. I also realized I had another card up my sleeve. The building where Quantum Tech had its below-market lease was mine. I'd bought it through a holding company and given Owen a great deal because I was proud of his entrepreneurial spirit. I sent an email to my property manager. Please send Quantum Tech Solutions a notice of non-renewal for their lease. Standard 60-day terms. It wasn't revenge, it was business, the same business Owen claimed to understand after Stella's so-called lessons. 2 days later, my phone was bombarded with calls. Owen's number kept showing up, but I was in back-to-back meetings with companies that truly valued my investment. Ryan kept me updated via text. Owen is losing it on his Instagram stories. He's calling investors fair weather friends and saying he's been betrayed by people who don't get his vision. I ignored it all. I had real work to do, the kind that builds wealth steadily and silently, without the need for constant social media bragging. On Thursday evening, Max called. I almost didn't answer, but I decided to hear him out. Addison, what the hell is going on? Owen's company is collapsing. Investors are pulling out, and his lease isn't being renewed. Don't act stupid, Max. This happened right after his Facebook post. It's no coincidence, I said. You're right, it's not. It's consequences. Your son publicly called me a victim and someone who makes excuses. So I stopped making excuses for him, I explained as I poured myself a glass of wine and settled into my favorite chair. What do you mean? He asked. I've been quietly supporting Owen's success, but he credits Stella for his work ethic. So I withdrew my support, silently. Addison, how could you? He exclaimed. Max, do you know why Owen got funding so easily? Why he got that great office space at 40% below market rate? It's because his so-called lazy mother has been his guardian angel all along. Since Stella has taught him everything about success, I'm sure she can help him fix this, I said. Addison, this is his dream, Max pleaded. No, it was a hobby funded by my strategic investments. His newfound dream of hustle and grind is all thanks to Stella. Let him grind it out on his own, I said before hanging up. By Friday, the full-scale disaster had hit. Without Summit Ventures' support, other investors got jittery. And without the favorable lease, Quantum Tech's already high burn rate became unbearable. The company that was valued at $10 million on paper was on the verge of bankruptcy. On Saturday morning, Owen showed up at my house unannounced. He looked haggard in a wrinkled version of his usual startup outfit. Mom, he said when I opened the door. Can we talk? I let him in. He walked through the house he'd grown up in, past the wall of photos that told the story of his life from a baby to a startup founder. He slumped onto the couch where he used to spend hours coding. My company is dying, he said bluntly. I know, I replied. Summit pulled out, then all the other investors. Our lease is up, and I can't get any meetings. It's like I've been blacklisted overnight. Have you talked to Stella? I'm sure her work ethic lessons cover this, he said, his face flushing. He stopped mid-sentence. Wait. You know something. I sat across from him. What could I possibly know? I'm just the one who makes excuses, I said. Mom, please. My whole future is falling apart, he begged. No, Owen, your house of cards is falling apart. There's a difference, I said. He looked at me, confused. I stood up and walked to my office. He followed me, and I heard his sharp intake of breath when he saw my real workspace. Multiple monitors showed portfolio dashboards, investment documents were spread across the desk, and there was a wall full of pitch decks from the companies I'd funded. "What is this?" he asked. "This is what 20 years of so-called excuse-making looks like," I said. I pulled up the investors list for quantum tech and highlighted Moonstone Holdings. "Recognize this name?" I asked. He shook his head. "That's me, Owen. Your lazy mother. I invested $500,000 in your company," I said. His face went pale. "You. What? The building you're losing? It's mine too." The cheap lease was my gift to my son, who was too ashamed to tell people his mother was the reason he was getting ahead, I continued. "I didn't know," he stammered. "Of course you didn't. You were too busy learning work ethic from someone who's never built anything substantial. You were so focused on the so-called grind that you didn't notice your mother had been grinding for 20 years, I said. He sat down on a chair. "The Facebook post," he murmured. "Yes, the Facebook post where you thanked Stella for teaching you work ethic and implied I was lazy. Where you told the world I make excuses and play the victim," I confirmed. "I didn't mean it," he tried to say. "Yes, you did. Every time I mentioned I was tired, you rolled your eyes. Every time you compared my quiet success to Stella's loud showmanship, you made it clear what you thought. You treated my career like it was something to be ashamed of instead of something to be admired," I said. "So, you destroyed my company," he accused. I removed my support. "There's a difference. If your business can't survive without the support of the person you publicly disrespected, then it wasn't a real business," I replied. "Mom, this is my life, my dream," he cried. "No, Owen. This was my investment. Your dream was more about the trappings of a startup founder, taking pictures, and posting about the grind without actually building a profitable business. You were burning through $1 million a year while making only $100,000 in revenue," I said. He was crying, just like he did when he was 17. But this time, I didn't hold him. Some lessons need to be learned the hard way. "What do I do?" he finally asked. "Start over without my help, my connections, or my money. If you really want to grind, then do it. Build something real, something sustainable. Learn actual work ethic, not the fake kind you post about on social media," I said. "How?" he asked. "The way I did. One 16-hour day at a time. Build small wins one after another. No safety nets, no hidden investors, no below-market leases. Just work. And if you fail, that's okay. Learn from it and try again. That's what people who don't make excuses do," I told him. An hour later, he left, humbled and heartbroken but maybe finally understanding. The next week, he took down all his social media posts about hustle and grind. He got a job at a tech firm that demanded real results. And Stella? She vanished from his life as quickly as his startup funding. Looking back on it all, I'm proud of the way Owen has changed. I might invest in his new business someday through Moonstone Holdings. But this time, he'll know exactly who believes in him. It's the same person who always has, even when he was blinded by bad advice and trendy words. The so-called lazy mother who turned years of hard work into millions and built an empire in silence while others were busy showing off their so-called grind. I hope he's learned that true work ethic is built in silence, and the results speak louder than words.